Welcome back to LTWS Backstage Chronicles. I'm Jessica Perry, and today we're exploring the magic behind the music, movement, and visuals of Sister Act. From show-stopping choreography to the perfect vocal harmonies, this episode is all about how the creative team crafts a production that's as joyful to perform as it is to watch. I'll be chatting with music director Dan Dodson, choreographer Ria Dawson, and set designer This Robot Dreams, aka Tab May, about how they approach set design, choreography, and vocal direction, and how these elements come together to build the fun, heart, and community that make Sister Act shine. Now, before we begin, make sure to subscribe to LTWS Backstage Chronicles. It can be found on all major streaming platforms. And share it with your friends so they can find out all about how we create theater magic. Now, let us begin. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Just do a little roundabout, get an introduction. So to my left is Dan Dodson.
Correct.
And to Dan's left is Ria Dawson, no relation. And then we have, finally, but not least, This Robot Dreams, a.k.a. Tab May.
Hello.
Not your first time being here.
No.
No.
In fact, I'm trying to think of something I can say this time that I haven't said before. I feel like I repeat myself a lot.
It's kind of rinse and repeat when it comes to doing these things, but there's always something a little bit unique to every story.
Because every set that I do is a remix of previous scenic pieces with new ones added, and the show is no different. I'm bringing back a lot of tried and true tested pieces that have worked before and trying to change them up a little, but also trying to add some new things and just support the story and the choreography and everything else.
So how often do you all interact with one another throughout the rehearsal process? Like, who interacts with each other the most?
I interact with both Dan and Tab, who don't often interact with each other.
It's true.
Tab has been very helpful with giving me dimensions, so I make sure that the dancers all fit on the stage without running into each other or the audience members. And then Dan and I have both been in rehearsals working with the actors as well.
So the two of you, it's really important that you guys be able to work together and are on the same page about things.
That's right. Most of the time, that type of collaboration discussion happens before rehearsals start or in the early part of rehearsals. I'm thinking of a tune in this show that has backup dancers and then nuns. But with this cast, some of the nuns need to pull out to be the backup dancers. So I obviously want good singers, and Ria obviously wants good dancers. So we just have to make the decisions about who's going to be doing what in these songs.
So the placement and positions of the actors in the choreographer, you know what? I give up. In the dance numbers.
Yes.
It matters where, the types of singers they are and where they are in position. That plays a factor.
And who's going to be none, who's going to be a backup dancer, who's going to be doing certain things in the tune. But we, even with Tao, the director, we start those discussions pretty much right when we're casting, because I want all the best singers. I don't care if they can dance. She would love the best dancer.
I would love dancers who can sing and act joyfully.
Right.
Yes, I would imagine acting joyfully does play a part in dancing. So Dan, this is your first time on the podcast, but not your first time music directing with the Little Theater. You've done a few shows with us.
For Little Theater, I think my first one was 2015, 10 years ago when we were still over on Coliseum. So I've done, I think for Little Theater, probably 8 or 10.
Wow. Is there any show in particular that holds a special place in your heart?
Probably Something Rotten or Producers. Those two. Producers was just a really, really good show. Everybody came in there ready to work, familiar with the material, and just really got to work immediately. And it's a huge show. And they pulled it off, and it was fantastic. But this one is too. That's one of the things that I've noticed about the songs in this show. It is a lot of ensemble singing. There aren't a lot of solos or duets. It is none ensemble, none ensemble, none ensemble, one after the other. And that's what I like. I like the big ensemble songs.
So I'm gonna turn to Tab for just a minute. So I know you don't. I can imagine like how they sing plays a part into the set design, but definitely choreography, lighting designer, costumes. Like, and we don't have our costume designer here or lighting designer here, but I'm wondering like how working with them plays into your set design.
Not on this one. Well, we've had a lot of conversations with Tao and Ria about the movement because there are a lot of scenes, a lot of locations. It's another musical based on a movie, so it's not just a unit set. We have to get from one place to the other very quickly, and I am not a fan of just closing the curtain to hide the scene change and then opening it up again, because one, that just slows down the show, and also I like to see the stuff move. And so we've had conversations about different set pieces, how we transition from one scene to the other, and not just doing it in the open, but choreographing it, making it work with the movement so that the scene set pieces are moving with the music, not just going straight from point A to point B in a very direct way, but working it into the story. And then costumes, Daisy and I, we work in the same building, so I'll check in with her now and then just to see what she's doing. But on this one, she and I haven't had to really communicate too much because it's pretty straightforward.
A lot of nun habits.
A lot of nun habits. Yeah, most of her costumes
black and white.
are right. A lot of black and white. So because sometimes with certain sets, I'll bring paint samples to the costume room and just say, here are the colors that are going to be in the set, and the costume room will try to match them. But this one's not really. That's not an important point for this one.
I lost my train of thought. Just gotten enraptured in what you were saying. But it's interesting what you mentioned about the transitions and making it almost like a choreographed piece, because like you said, like pacing is so important. Like everybody's attention spans these days are so much shorter. And I think like streaming services and things like that have made people's attention spans so much smaller. Like, so just anything you can do to shorten the transitions and times between like numbers is like a huge help, and it keeps people engaged.
Yeah, and it's not just about the transition times, but you just want the show to flow. Mm-hmm. I mean, a transition could take 5 minutes if it's really interesting to watch and is supporting the story, and there's some, if there's something's happening, it's not so much a race to get it done, although that is important too. But with this one, we've got some big pieces that have to move, and I'm very curious to see how those finally work, because the actors won't have them until we're in the theater during Tech Week, and they know theoretically what they're doing, but when they get to the reality of it, there's going to be some adjustment. But
because right now they just work with like lines on the floor.
I don't know.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We've started using some plastic bookshelves as the big scenic pieces, so that they kind of understand how long it will take to move them. But they're not the same size or the same weight, so it's not as helpful as tech will be with how many people it takes and how long it will actually take to get things from point A to point B. But we've been incorporating more and more of the actual props and like setting exact timings for when we want things to start moving. There are definitely some pieces that are moving like mid-song on a specific word, and then there are other things that are moving mid-scene with no scene change music. So it's just going to happen however long it needs to without being longer than necessary.
I think it's interesting. So those who are not super familiar with theater, maybe they come to see theater, but they don't think about how it works. They just watch it and they enjoy it, but they don't realize all the attention to detail and the thought that goes in before it even gets to tech, and all the things that you have to consider and plan for and do the best you can to practice around. So that was really interesting. Thank you for sharing. Is this your first time working with the Little Theater, Ria? It's
been a long time. The first show I choreographed for the Little Theater was Shakespeare in Love. Quite a few years ago. I was in college, and one of my professors was the director, and she forgot there was dancing in the show. So she asked me to do the choreography a couple weeks into rehearsal, and it was really fun, but it was very much like court dance which is not my specialty. I love a flashy musical with lots of big production numbers. So it's really fun to dip my toes into doing a bigger show with the Little Theater and doing more choreography.
Would you say that this show has big, flashy dance numbers?
If you consider nuns to be flashy, absolutely. They'll show a little ankle occasionally.
Ooh, scandalous.
It's a disco heavy show. It's a disco inspired show, so it's I would say at least the music is often flashy.
Yes.
Well, Dolores is a very flashy character.
You got it.
And I love that. I love that she brings that to the story and to the music. It's incorporated in the music and it's incorporated in the choreography. I will get that word before the day is over.
And a lot of the choreography in the show, like at least 2 numbers, are supposed to feel like Dolores choreographed them. So, like, seeing how the actor has been moving and playing her really influenced some of the choreography that I put into those numbers, because I wanted it to really feel like her character did the choreography, and then her character took that choreography and changed it to make it nun-friendly.
So what has it been like working with Maricia in that position?
She's great. She's so funny. She's really in tune with, like, what she feels comfortable with, and she's been willing to try being lifted a couple of different ways before we landed on the one that we liked the most. And sometimes I'm just told her, hey, you're directing this, do what they're doing sometimes but bigger, and I'll give you notes if I don't like it. And then she'll just do her own thing and it looks great, and we'll do a couple of notes, make a couple of changes, and then keep most of what she did.
Some people who, and I keep going back to, because we don't know who's listening, somebody who's never really watched theater before might be listening, but they don't realize just how collaborative and adaptable everything is. So you might think that, they come in, they have all the choreography numbers just completely mapped out and ready to go. And maybe there are some that are like that, but I think it's helpful, like what you're doing, like allowing there to be a little bit of open to change and stuff, so you can incorporate the actors themselves. That's really cool.
Yeah, there are definitely some songs that I came in knowing exactly what everyone was going to do and where everyone was going to be. And then there are a couple of other ones where I like got into the room and I was like, you're going to do something and I want you to turn here. Let's try it with music and see how it goes.
Was there any moments where you're like, I know what I want, and then you get in there, you're like, you know what? Like, they completely just changed your idea about how it would go?
More so, Tao has changed my idea. Or
Tao would do that.
Or like we have risers for the nuns to stand on in a few of the songs, and so I was like, can I use them in this one too? And so Tao said yes, and I asked if the boys could move it off stage mid-song, and Tao said yes. So sometimes I'll have an idea, and there will be space constraints that I'm taking into consideration before I get into the room to make sure that everything will fit. Sometimes I'll have an idea and it's physically impossible, but I didn't know because I don't have 3 people to lift me. I'm just myself in my car. And it turns out that that's not physically possible. So we shift gears and have 7 people doing a lift instead.
Oh, that's cool. So Dan, with this song, are there a lot of harmonies that go along? Since there's like, I think of nuns and I think of the church choirs and things like that. Is this more harmonies that you would say in this musical than other musicals, perhaps?
Yes.
And harmonies are pretty difficult, aren't they? So everybody has to know their part.
Yes.
And I was an alto when I would when I would sing, and
Right.
that's always the fun one.
And that has been one of my main. The types of decisions that you are asking Ria about, I typically don't make until I start music rehearsals, because there's so many unknowns with people's voices. I mean, when you're casting people that they've put on their casting sheet, I'm a soprano or I'm an alto. But you don't really get a good idea of their complete range, or how strong they are, or how strong of a singer they are, how well they can hold a part. And so I usually get 2 weeks for music. Through that process, I'm most of the time that afternoon looking at the tune and making decisions about who I want to sing what. You know, can the low altos sing tenor parts right here if I feel like tenor needs propping up a little bit or whatever it is. But yes, when you have lots of big tunes, it takes a long time to teach because, you know, a 120 measure solo, there's only one line, but in some of these songs, they have 8 things going on at the same time, and it may take you 45 minutes to learn one page. It's real, it's sort of, and even sometimes on the fly while we're in rehearsal, sitting at the piano, you know, let's try this. I didn't like that, so let's just change it. But it's fun to make those decisions. And I think, you know, once you change something and it sounds good, the cast will do, you know, they trust you at that point.
Is the music particularly challenging for this musical?
I would say challenging because of the amount. There's just a lot of songs. There's, I think, 26 different separate pieces of music, and most of them are ensembles. So it's been a lot of work, but they sound good.
So how much would you say of this musical is song and how much is like just speaking? Is this mostly singing or?
No.
60-40.
Yeah, I would say it's a good,
Okay.
Probably half and half mix.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense with the type of show and then based off a movie and the
Right.
the drama and comedy, mostly comedy that probably goes along.
Mostly comedy. Yes. And, you know, stylistically, it's important. Some shows in musical theater should just sound like musical theater. But when you do, like we did Das Barbecue, and that is a country western show, so it needs to sound like western music. So how are you going to get that sound? This is a disco-inspired show. How are you going to get it to sound like disco? How are they going to perform that? And we've had just a real fun time, you know, singing the song and saying, "Oh, this is the Bee Gees tune." You know, it's the men who sing in falsetto. And then this is the ABBA tune, and we were singing. I don't remember what song it was, but Evelyn Zoley said, "Is this Karen Carpenter?" And I was like, "Yes, that is exactly what this is. This is So the show is almost like a pastiche, like a musical honoring or tribute to that mid to late '70s disco."
Would you say that the style of disco yields well to the style of to it being a comedy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes, if it was just straight musical theater, it would not be as interesting. It just wouldn't.
So, with that in mind, does the fact that the style of music being disco play into the set design in any way?
Not necessarily with the musical style, but because of the period. It's the 1970s, so if the music's going to be 1970s, then the architecture and the interior decor needs to be 1970s. For one piece of scenery, I did buy some of that old wood wall paneling that we all remember from our grandparents' house. Yeah, like that's going to, yeah. There's, yeah. And
That's going to bring back some memories.
And the
for
police
people.
station set is also modeled after the Barney Miller set in terms of like
yes.
color choices and that general atmosphere. So yeah, it's the visuals are going to support the music for sure.
That makes me happy to hear, Ted.
So you were saying that there is a lot of different scene changes and different locations that come along with this show. I know you've done that in the past with, I would say, Moriarty definitely had a lot of scene changes.
Yes.
One Man, Two Governors had a lot of scene changes.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think this lies in just the challenges of creating like multiple locations?
I mean, I think in terms of the number of locations, this feels like Producers did. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same scale of different locations and how quickly we need to get. Producers, because of the way it was structured more like a classical musical, we did take advantage of having a main curtain that we closed to hide some of the scene changes. And while we will have a main curtain for this one, we won't necessarily use it for that. We'll use it when we want to see a bright red curtain. but I'm glad you mentioned Moriarty because initially I had a more minimalist approach to the set for this one. But after we got Moriarty to the finish line and I watched it, that one just had so much in it. It was so complex, so many effects. I just thought, you know what, I need to add a little bit more to the set for Sister Act because Moriarty really raised the bar. And if a lot of people saw Moriarty come back, their expectations are going to be in a certain place, and it's not going to be quite as complicated as Moriarty was, but I do want to at least be in the same league as far as just spectacle. So yes.
So I just want to go around and I want to ask everybody, and you can think about this for a minute, but if you could say the one favorite moment that you've had so far, whether during rehearsal or while working on the set, or any ideas or things that have popped up, any creative inspiration, where you're like, yes, just a fun favorite moment, what would you say?
Easy. My always, every single show, fun favorite moment is when everyone gets together to do a sing-through. Because, one of my biggest pet peeves is wasting people's time. I'm not going to waste people's time. So, for instance, in Sunday Morning Fever, where you have 8 parts going on, there's 3-part nuns. So I would call those 3-part, all the nuns to rehearsal to rehearse that part. And then the Monsignor has some solo lines, so I just call Monsignor to rehearse that part. There's no need for him to sit around for 45 minutes while I rehearse with the nuns. So I'm calling all of these people separately for these music rehearsals. And then on the day when we have the sing-through, everybody gets to hear what everyone else has been doing, even within the same song at the same time. And no one has ever heard that before, not even me. And so that moment when everyone wants to impress all their castmates and is simultaneously impressed by their castmates, that is always the best moment for me, when everybody looks around and says, damn, we sound pretty good, That is always fantastic. That's always my favorite moment. And of course it happened in this show as well.
Oh, and I know Mauricia, she always has the best facial reactions to things.
Oh, yes. Yes. And speaking of Mauricia, that was another big moment for me when we had the sing through, and she sang the song Sister Act, which is a really endearing ballad. And it just brought tears to my eyes. I thought, wow, we made the right casting choice. Oh. She just killed it. It's going to be great.
My favorite prep moment, it wasn't so much a moment as it was my research list included watching Saturday Night Fever, looking up what day Saturday Night Fever came out and what day the show starts, and making sure that it had come out before the show started. It did, by 13 days, so just enough time for Dolores to have gone to the movie theater. Looking up when the first televised High Five was, finding different musical groups to pull stylistic inspiration from, especially for the gangsters. Just the whole research process for this was delightful. I got to watch a lot of 70s movies. It was great.
Oh yeah, I listened to a lot of ABBA.
Much fun. Yes. And you?
I'm struggling to think of an equivalent moment, just because I'm kind of working in isolation from the cast at this point, and the set is, there's so much set, there's such a lot of it. It's just like this to-do list that I feel like I'll never finish. And so there are a few moments where I discovered that something I was planning to build, we actually already have, or we have something that'll work just as well, and I don't have to build it. And so it feels like a little leap forward in the process. But in general, though, one of my favorite moments, talking about when things come together, is just whenever we're in the theater and the set is up and cast members see the set for the first time. Mm-hmm. I always love their reactions, because they're always just, lots of ooh and ah and oh my goodness, because they've been told what it looks like, and maybe if I have time, I've been able to show them some renderings. But even when you see renderings, even I myself, I know what the stuff is going to look like and I know how big it is, but every time it's up, I always have a moment where I look and I'm like, wow, that is really huge. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to be huge, but feeling it in the space, it still surprises even me. So seeing that same surprise reaction on the cast and crew and everyone else coming in for the first time, that's always so much fun.
I bet it's a lot of fun to like to see, like you have this image in your head and it's not until it's up. And like, how close do you usually get to the image in your head and what you see on stage?
Oh, it depends. I mean, some things I nail it exactly, and sometimes more often than not, the pieces evolve because what's in my head doesn't always work in reality, and I'll make discoveries or talking with other crew members like choreographers or directors or costumers. I'll see something that they're doing and realize, oh, I need to change the set to support that because that's better and that's more important. So it's a mixture, but that's what every artist. Seeing what the thing that's in their brain going from their brain to reality, that's what I think that's what we're all chasing, right? Like just, hey, I made that. Getting to have that response.
Well, it seems like your favorite moment is yet to come.
Yes.
So
anticipation.
Something to look forward to. Any last words, anything you'd like to share, any takeaways that you want people to have or something that you hope they notice when they come to see the production? Opening November 7th, by the way. Do, do, do. That's all I can do legally.
Yeah, I don't really have anything. I mean, I want people to see the show so they can experience everything, all of it.
Come for the fun and the love and the laughter.
There's definitely been a lot of laughter in
For
rehearsals, and a lot of love has been going into the show. And the show is really about love and acceptance. And I think that right now, especially, that's just such a relief to sit for 2.5 hours and see a show about people who love and care about each other and learn to love each other more through their differences.
Yeah, and I think theater is about that as well, just about acceptance, inclusivity, and just being a part of a community. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. That is a wrap today on our look at the artistry, teamwork, and joyful energy that brings Sister Act to the stage. A huge thanks to Dan, Ria, and This Robot Dreams, aka Tab May, for letting us peek behind the curtain at their creative process. We also want to thank our 91st season media sponsor, Such and Such Media, for helping us tell our story. And as always, we'll see you at the theater. The views and opinions of this podcast are those of the contributor and not necessarily those of our distributors and hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted. Use of this podcast without express permission may result in alien blood-sucking plants taking over the world. You have been warned.